Hey everybody, good evening. Well, I'm making a video about about Gong Fu Cha or Gong Fu Tea, an introductory video. I've had many people reach out and just express how cool it would be for me to make a video to introduce people to this way of brewing tea. And so here I am. It's taken me a while, but I'm here. I've been involved with tea and Gong Fu Tea for about 3 years. I took over Dragon Gong Fu Tea House in 2018, the beginning of 2018. So I jumped into tea culture when I bought that tea house, and so I've been on a journey of discovery for the past 3 years, and here is my my level of knowledge since I've been involved. And we can take this really, really far and really deep, which so many people have, and I am on that journey. But for now, I wanted to just start out by introducing Gong Fu Cha. So Gong Fu Cha, Gong Fu Tea, it originates in the south of China, probably around, let me think here, 700 years ago or something like that. And it originated in a city called Chaozhou in Guangdong province in the south. And there's three main reasons how it came into being and the inspiration behind the creation. Excuse me. The first one would be that it coincides with the production of oolong tea. And oolong tea, as some of you know, is the most labor-intensive, most intricate way of producing tea. So they really wanted to match a brewing style with the effort that it takes and the mastery that it takes to create an oolong tea. It's the hardest production of tea to master, which leads us into what Gong Fu means. Gong Fu is translated as mastery, or anything that creates mastery through self-discipline or skill. And so Gong Fu Cha is technically it's an aimless practice. What we're really wanting to do here is be mindful enough to create and bring out the spirit of this tea in the best way that we can. So we're really stewards to the tea and the spirit of this tea and the chi and the energetics of this tea. So the oolong tea, and then secondly would be the fact that during this time in the south of China, people had very little. They had very, very little. So during that time when it was came into being, in China they were brewing tea with large pots and large cups. And that is exactly why we brew tea the way that we do here in the West, is because we were trading with China during that time and adopted their ways. And so Gong Fu came afterwards. And so those people couldn't afford a lot of tea that could fill up a big pot and the big cups. And so they wanted to create something that was that was manageable for them. And that is why we have the small pot and the small cup and many steepings. And so that leads into the third reason, which is that it was martial artists in the south of China that really were inspired to create this way of brewing tea. And in martial arts, it's all about being in harmony with nature. And so they wanted a way to brew tea that created that same quality of being in harmony with nature. So it is so much of this practice, as we dive into it, we realize that there's just so much fluid movement and motion, and that's what creates and brings out, I shouldn't say create, it's what allows the spirit of the tea to awaken. So that would be the three main reasons for the creation of Gong Fu Cha. Um, so the main tools that we need for Gong Fu is, like what I said, the small pot. So this is a clay pot. The most famous clay in all of China comes from Yixing, and so some of you have heard of Yixing clay. And the reason why that's so revered is that it comes from very deep down in the earth that have mineral deposits that are incredibly healthy and pure. And so this pot right here happens to be my very first pot I ever bought, and it's still my favorite. And this is not pure Yixing clay, but there could be some percentage in there. And the other cool thing about these clay pots is that they are porous, and so when you start making a lot of tea and pouring tea over your pot, the oils from the tea get into the clay and it starts changing color and giving it a really nice patina. So this pot was a totally different color when I bought it, and now it's turned into this. I am absolutely in love with clay pottery. Because I'm such an earth creature that it just is such a turn on, these colors. So like this and this, it's so earthy. So we have the pot, kind of went off on a tangent there, and then we have the tea boat or the tea tray. So for right now, this is what I'm calling my tea tray here. It has holes, so the liquid, the tea and the water and whatnot can drain inside. It has a little spigot here. I can pour it out. And so that would be my tea boat I'm using here. I wanted to show you, this is a very traditional style tea boat. Really, really cool. And they get bigger as well. And it has its little holding tray here. Some of them have an opening here with a tube that can go down into a vase or something, so you can set it on the table and just never have to drain it. It's draining automatically. Pretty cool. So you have your pot, your tea boat that it's sitting on, you have your small cup, and you have your water kettle. So this is my clay water kettle. I really like to boil tea, boil water in a clay vessel. It really feels like it's purifying and softening the water. So it just makes for a really pure, clean, soft tea. Really, really amazing. And then I heat mine on an infrared, which allows the water to heat up a little bit slower than like an electric kettle, which is fine. But as you dive into tea, you're going to want to refine your practice because you're recognizing the quality that it brings, not only the tea, but to yourself, and the experience is amazing. So those would be the main tools that we'll need for Gong Fu. So some secondary tools that people use is, this is a strainer, so it has a mesh strainer in there. You're going to see a lot of strainers when you're researching Gong Fu. So a lot of people like to use the strainer so that there's no particles of the tea, because some of these pots have a little bit of a strainer, like holes in the clay, so that works pretty well. But some of the, like even the higher end Yixing pots don't have holes in it. It's just a straight pour, and so that will catch anything. I personally, I like to use these. I'm just noticing lately that I'm not using them, and I don't know exactly why, but I'm definitely not scared of chewing or eating or swallowing a little bit of tea. again, this is medicine, so I ain't scared. And then you have the Gong Bei or sharing pitcher. And I just want to point out that the sharing pitcher doesn't have to be this fancy glass piece. It can be a cup, it can be a mason jar. It's really about being resourceful and creative if you don't have all of these wares. So, of course, you know, you kind of need the pot. That's a big one. You need the clay pot or this gaiwan here. So gaiwan is from Japan. Japanese created this, but it's a cup with a lid and a saucer, and you put the tea inside, pour the water, put the lid on, and then just make a little opening by tilting the lid, and you can hold it like this and pour it like this. A lot of people, most people in China are using the gaiwan for brewing tea. I personally really love to brew tea in clay. I feel like the clay gives it a quality that I just really love. Not to say that there aren't clay gaiwans. People are using clay gaiwans as well. There's just, you'll see, use them both. I use the gaiwan as well, but I definitely feel like I gravitate towards the pot, the clay pot. Let's see, what else? I think that's it. I also want to show you, like, here's a clay sharing pitcher. So the difference obviously is that when you pour into the glass, you can see the color of the tea. You can see kind of the strength. And then this, of course, you can't, even though I love to use this. So the other thing I can share, so it is the idea of steeping it many times. So in Gong Fu Cha, they say that we're not drinking tea, we're tasting tea, and we're steeping it many times, so that we're going on a journey with the tea. It's not like in the West where we put tea in, pour the water in, that's it, and then we pour it out and that's all. We're going on a journey, so every steeping should have a different quality to it. It should have different sensual flavor and smells, and so because we're being so mindful with tasting tea, it's such an incredible quality to experience the journey within tea. And I think what you're going to notice is that as you continue to drink these steepings, your heart's going to open, and it just has that quality to it. It's absolutely incredible. And one of the most amazing aspects of tea medicine is that it allows you to listen. It's all about listening. It's all about listening to your true nature. And it's like drinking Mother Earth. It's like drinking nature. And tea is an entheogen. So to me, it's a God plant, and it meets us in our reality. It's not taking us into their reality. Tea meets us here, and it has a spirit to it that we're ingesting, and it's all about listening, and you will recognize the medicine. So I just wanted to show you real fast. I have already started this tea, and I wish I wouldn't have. So I have tea in here. It was here, and then to start our practice, we put hot water into the sharing pitcher, and then we fill up the pot to heat up the clay. So I'll just share with you that it's all about keeping the temperature consistent. So from clay kettle water, boiled water, to the pot, to the cup, we're trying to keep the temperature the same, and it's all about just really flowing in harmony and not scalding the tea or the clay, or bringing the temperature of the liqueur way down by pouring into a cold clay pot. And so we heat everything like we're making tea. So we would put hot water in here. We would pour into the pot. We would wait a minute, let that clay heat up. And then we would pour into our cup to heat up the cup. And then once we take the water out of here, we take our tea and we pour it into the warm, moist clay pot, put the lid on, wait 30 seconds, and then take a big inhale of that amazing smell of the tea. It's like breathing in life. It's like breathing in medicine that balances us in such a beautiful way. So after that, we're gonna take our kettle of water. Every time we touch that kettle of water, we just take one moment, 1 second, whatever it is, just to breathe in to our heart space, connect with that heart space, calm that heart space, and bring that quality, that centered balance energy into our tea. So then I'm gonna pour the water over the tea, and that first brew is actually a rinse. And so we always rinse that first steeping. That's because we don't know where the tea has specifically been. Sometimes we don't know the farming practices associated with that tea. So if it's not organic, we can get some of that stuff off. Some people say that first steeping releases some of the caffeine in the tea. I personally don't really care about the caffeine, because the more that I drink tea as medicine, it's all medicine, and there's an alchemical effect within tea and all the constituents within tea that are creating medicine. So we don't need to worry so much about this thing called caffeine, because it has heaps of L-theanine and antioxidants and GABA to calm the nervous system. In ancient times, they were prescribing pu'er tea for sleep aid. So just, take that as you will. And so that first steeping, we're gonna just kind of swish it around a couple times and then pour out. We have a Jen Shui here. It's just a bowl or anything that you can find. That's where we're gonna put that water here, that rinse. And then we're ready. Then we're ready for our first steeping. So again, calm the heart. Some people like to pour the water right up to the top, and then when they put the lid on, it kind of spills over. And I guess that's fun for the idea of like the oils of the tea, because there's a lot of oil in the tea, so the oils start to patina the outside of the clay pot. I guess the other thing would be this idea of water overflowing, abundance overflowing, abundance consciousness. That's a beautiful thing. So I do like that way of doing it. So I'm just gonna wait. I've worked with this tea. This is a charcoal dongding oolong from Taiwan. And I drink this tea not only because it tastes amazing, but the energetics of this tea bring a smile to my face and a very lighthearted quality to my being. Okay, so I really I'm here. As much as I'm focused on this video, I'm also trying to focus and be present with this tea. And I just really feel into when it's ready. So I am gonna pour it into my sharing pitcher here. And again, you can use that, you can use the strainer if you'd like. So that strainer would just go on the top here and then pour in there. I hold the bowl and the cup with two hands. If you've ever noticed when somebody shakes your hand with two hands, the quality and the reverence that feeling brings. It's the same with anything, so we like to hold it with two hands to really bring that respect as medicine into ourselves. So the mother hand, the earth mother holding us, and the guide, the parent here. Oh, exceptional. One quality that I find with tea is that it opens up my nasal passages, and it makes you want to just breathe in that life force and just give thanks for that breath. Give thanks for the breath of life. There is so much to be grateful for in this moment. Thank you all. Thank you so much for joining me, and please be in touch. And I want you to know that we're running a fundraiser on GoFundMe, and we are transitioning Dragon Gong Fu Tea House into Mountain Tea Temple. And so we're going to be dropping in to tea as medicine and creating a sacred space for journeying with the tea medicine. And we'll be holding daily ceremony and meditations. We'll be giving educational classes like this. We'll be bringing in guest Chajin tea people to share their knowledge of tea, and we will continue to spread tea culture here in the West. And I think it's time. I think from my experience with tea and the qualities that it's bringing, the four virtues of tea are harmony, reverence, purity, and tranquility. And that tranquility is more of like, you're going to have experiences when you sit with tea as medicine in ceremony and ritual, is you're gonna notice a heart opening and a feeling of total completion in this moment right here. So I am inspired to bring that to the world. Thank you so much.